So who here likes a parade? I like a parade. Oh my gosh, parades are absolutely fun and wonderful. I mean, whether they're kind of a small town parade, like, 4th of July or something like that, or a big grand event that frankly has taken, kind of global, sort of on the global stage, like the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, right? I mean, Macy's is like synonymous with Thanksgiving because of that, okay? We absolutely love parades. And what do we do in a parade? We sort of lift up and we highlight something to celebrate. Whether it's the occasion or it could be people. I mean, there are ticker tape parades for when you win the Super Bowl or, that sort of thing. And we have this idea as humans that it's something intrinsic within us to lift up and uphold those things that make us feel good, make us feel right, make us feel like things make sense. There are no parades that I can think of that celebrate things that don't make sense. Right? I mean, if you could think of one, sure. Okay. But I can't think of one. And so we had just moments ago a parade. A parade where we celebrated somebody who had been walking amongst us. Think of ourselves back in the day, right? Who had been walking amongst us for 3 years doing astounding things. Preaching excellent sermons. Healing those who were sick and those who had bodily injuries done to themselves, those who had injuries done before birth. We saw him teaching profound wisdom, wonderful things, things that made us go, ha, my gosh, I never would have thought of that, right? And so we're outside the gates of Jerusalem, and here we see him kind of, oh my gosh, is that him? Is that the guy? Is this the one we've heard of? Is this the one we've been following? Is this, whoever it is was there. And they're like, this is amazing. Let's have a parade. And they lay down their cloaks and palms and branches, whatever they've got. And he enters into Jerusalem as a king. It's astounding. It's wonderful. It's great. But this is the Sunday of the Passion, Palm Sunday. And we see here a wild juxtaposition, a wild one. Because in almost the same breath, and as quickly as it can turn, like that, the same voices and mouths that are shouting, Hosanna in the highest, are yelling, crucify him. And that is the purpose of this particular liturgy and why it exists as it does. It comes out of the liturgical renewal that many of you actually lived through in the middle of the 20th century. Our 1979 prayer book as a result of this, okay? In fact, older Episcopalians might even remember this sort of time before we go into Holy Week, actually on 2 different Sundays, okay? And so this mashup is something that I actually really appreciate. I mean, there are some really great mashups, right? Abbott and Costello. All right, that's a mashup. How many of you remember the old commercials about Reese's peanut butter cups where the chocolate truck goes trucking down the street and then the peanut butter truck goes trucking down the street and then suddenly you have a Reese's peanut butter cup, okay? It's an awesome mashup. It's a combination of things that seem like they don't go together, but in reality, they do. And you might be wondering, well, why? How? What? Because this is the day, the only day in the entire liturgical calendar where we flat out acknowledge how fickle we are as human beings. we are so fickle. Because in reality, we can be higher than a kite one moment and blazing with torches in another. We know this to be true in our own lives. Have any of you ever experienced an estranged relationship? Maybe it was your best friend. Maybe it was your son or daughter. Maybe it was your mom or your dad. Maybe it was somebody that was really close to you, and something went sideways, badly. I have to share, one of the hardest things as a priest I've ever had to hear are these strange relationships of people who go years without talking because of a singular event. Something just changed so dramatically. And there's separation. But of course, the profound lunacy of that is that that requires one to think that one has unlimited time to fix it or resolve it in the end. That's rooted in a lot of, frankly, things that go wrong in our human experience and how we experience our lives. Because in reality, just as we had a few weeks back in the season of Lent, right? I think it was like the second Sunday in Lent, we had the Ten Commandments, right? Do you remember that? We had the kind of the reading of the Ten Commandments. Well, the first three are about God, and the seven that follow are about our relationship with each other. But if you understand how it all works, it's actually pointing out one sin. And I would dare say, arguably, in the Bible, there actually is only one sin. And that is idolatry. The displacing of God with anything else that isn't God. And what tends to be the number one idol in our lives? Ourselves. Ourselves. Right. We tend to be that sin. Ourselves. And usually when relationships go sideways, it was because the other person was wrong. We do sit in this place of judgment and profound judgment of others, and sometimes in an overly self-deprecating sort of fashion, profound judgment against ourselves. We can sin against ourselves when we don't see ourselves as valued, as God sees us. It's all a distraction. It all turns us sideways. And ultimately, this day is an affront to that, because we're challenged with seeing ourselves in a mirror. Hosanna in the highest! Crucify him! All in the same breath. It took us, 15 minutes to do that? That is the power of this particular liturgy, and it sets up a theme for Holy Week. Holy Week is not a spectator sport, okay? It's not something where you kind of go, oh, isn't this cool? We're doing Maundy Thursday. Hey, get a little water on my feet. Cool. It's not, oh, Good Friday. Oh, isn't that interesting? The whole cross business. Yeah, okay. Interesting. And then boom, Easter eggs. No, not at all. We're actually invited to actually walk in real time. Because from this point forward, we go into real time through this week. Holy Monday, Holy Tuesday, Holy Wednesday, Holy Thursday, Maundy Thursday, Mandatum Thursday, Commandment Thursday, Friday, Good Friday, God's Friday. That's why we get good God. They're synonymous. Okay, so when somebody says good God, you're being redundant. Okay? All right? God's Friday, Good Friday. And then we're in the tomb on Holy Saturday. We walk this way. We're invited to walk this way. And it will happen whether you're in it or not. It's going to happen. But the invitation is there to walk with it so that you can understand, we can all understand, that there is absolutely nothing that can save us but God alone. And you might ask, well, what is God saving us from? Ourselves. I mean, all these fiery preachings and all this sort of things. Saving you from the temptations, saving you from the devil, saving you from this, that, and the other, something external. No, God is saving us from ourselves. And if you've got any depth of imagination for how your life is going, you know full well it's only God that can save me from my own self. Only God. And in fact, Easter happens despite us. What I love about, I don't want to give too much away for my sermon next week. I'll reference it again. But there's a profound, and you may have it somewhere, it would be wonderful if you did, the classic Orthodox icon of the resurrection, Ha Anastasis, the rising, is where Jesus is in the middle, and he's got behind him that great sort of, I don't know, portal. It's called a mandorla. It's supposed to be uncreated light. And he is standing there, and there's an older man and an older woman down kind of lower beneath him, and he's yanking them out of boxes, the tomb, out by their wrists. Why is he yanking them by their wrists? And who are they? They're Adam and Eve, by the way. They're the prototypes for all of us. He's yanking out all of humanity by their wrists. Because when you yank somebody by their wrist, even if they pull away, they can't let go. That's mind-bending theology, isn't it? Because the resurrection happens despite us. And despite all of our efforts to actually resist it. What I love about this Sunday and this mashup, it has everything to do with also profoundly understanding that it's everybody who murders Jesus. Not just the religious elite. Religion won't save us. It's not those who symbolize the apex of civilization, the Romans. Civilization won't save us. In our own present day, our own profound progressive ideals aren't going to save us. Our economy is not going to save us. Our technology is not going to save us. Science is not going to save us. Might help us profoundly, but it's not going to save us. God alone will save us. Because we are fickle. We get really excited and get really angry really fast. Ever have anybody just kind of get sideways about something here at St. Clair's and leave the church? Ever experienced that? If you've never, I mean, this would be like the first parish I've ever been to that's ever not experienced that. Those rifts are horrible. You've been blessed with nearly 20 years of having an awesome priest here. But I know that there's been at least one or two people that went sideways with her, and that's a painful experience as a priest. Because you're not God, you don't know everything. Yet there's this weird overlay and expectation that you do. By the way, at the consecration portion, yes, we do get omnipotent vision. Yes, that is absolutely what happens. And we're bestowed with the perfection of understanding how propriety ought to be at all times. And we never swear. Never. That's just taken right out. False. We put people on pedestals only to chop them down. This is how we operate. This is why we have celebrity culture. But that's what we're called to something different. on a day like today. We're called to be checked, put in our place a little bit. This isn't like hellfire and brimstone, like guilting you into heaven so you could avoid hell. No, it's like, oh, yeah, check on myself. Because the gateway to profound faith is humility. And Lord knows we are short of that in our society. Especially when we have millions of certified Facebook doctors, lawyers, psychologists, and theologians. Millions of certified Facebook professionals whom everybody has an opinion. But it's just really a plume of self-indulgence. The gateway to true and profound faith is humility. And a proper humility is one that pauses a little bit before one speaks, thinks a little bit before one acts, loves a lot more, listens a lot more. One of the great phrases that comes from the Kairos prison ministry, which you might have had some folks in this congregation be a part of, is listen, listen, love, love. And I like how it's done in doubles. Listen, seriously, listen. Love, seriously, love. Because how else will we be ready to even understand and fathom what Jesus is actually doing in that resurrection moment? He's not popping up out of the grave to have a victory flag like in a lot of Western art. It's a dynamic invitation into something new. It is a new creation, a new opportunity, a new life. It's not something that we can just have to imagine somewhere in a far-off part of the universe after we're dead, but right here and now. Right now. That's why I like today. And so I hope that this day becomes a framing for this week. That you read the readings. You know, Mission St. Clair, it's kind of the same namesake as you all. It's wonderful. You could do the whole liturgical office online, super easy. Look it up, Mission St. Clair. It's very easy, easy peasy, to do the prayers this week. Just read the collects or read some of the gospel lessons, whatever. But get that sort of orientation to get yourself outside of yourself. And you will be absolutely blown away what it will do for you when you come and you have your feet washed, or you touch that hard wooden cross and you sing, "Ah, holy Jesus. How can this be?" And you go into that cold tomb, only to wait. And wait with a profound sense of expectation that there can be light, uncreated, bestowed upon you as that rock rolls away. That's the power of our faith, my friends. And it begins right here with each and every one of us getting out of our own way